Well, strong words this week as the House Oversight Committee questioned key members of the board that reviewed the Obama administration's handling of the Benghazi attack. One of the key questions our next guest had: why wasn't Secretary of State Hillary Clinton questioned in the first place? Joining us now with some thoughts on all this, Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy. Welcome. Great to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good to see you.
I know that you and others have been raising big concerns about why former Secretary of State Clinton wasn't interviewed by the Accountability Review Board. Have you come to any conclusions at this point as to why she wasn't questioned about the attack on our consulate in Benghazi?
Have I come to any conclusions as to why she was not interviewed? Yeah, because there's no objectivity on the Accountability Review Board. She picked the people who were going to serve on it. And we're not usually very objective when it comes to judging ourselves. We don't grade our own test papers in school. We don't get to give an accounting of all of our good and bad characteristics. We're not objective when it comes to judging our own conduct. So they didn't interview her because the Accountability Review Board wasn't independent. And I think it's important for your viewers to keep that in mind, because we were told that they would look at everything. And we were told that the recommendations that came out of the Accountability Review Board would be enough to sustain us and make sure there's never another Benghazi. But if you go back to 1998, a previous Accountability Review Board gave her a specific requirement: review every facility we have and close those that are not safe. They didn't even bother to ask her whether she did that. So a lack of objectivity, and I think it was designed to insulate her. But I need to talk to her before I can finalize that conclusion.
All right. And where do things stand right now as far as interviewing those eyewitnesses who were there in Benghazi, who have yet to come forward with their account of what happened on that day? Do you believe that you will ever get them to come forward at a time when we keep hearing those reports that they are being ordered to stay silent?
Well, Chairman Issa has subpoenaed 2 survivors. There are estimates of 30. I want to talk to all of them. I want to talk to Secretary Clinton. I want to talk to Susan Rice. I want somebody to ask the president whether or not he called any of our allies. But as a former prosecutor, I have to talk to the eyewitnesses. It's been over 12 months. The best time to talk to an eyewitness is contemporaneous with whatever happened, because memories fade. But 12 months is better than never. And Chairman Issa is going to start issuing subpoenas. It's tragic and sad that he has to. The State Department, the CIA should have made these witnesses available to us. And again, you have to ask yourself, why do you withhold information? Why do you keep us from accessing witnesses? The only conclusion I can reach is because they don't like the information that those witnesses have.
You know, we heard this week from some of the relatives who offered very emotional testimony about the losses that they were feeling about the deaths of their loved ones. Yet, what do you say to those who say the scandal has become so politicized that at this point it's very difficult to get an objective overview of how those events unfolded?
Unfortunately, everything is politicized in Washington, Uma, and it is frustrating, and it is sad, and it doesn't have to be that way. You would think when you have 4 murdered Americans that Republicans and Democrats and independents would all lock arms and say they were there in our place. I don't know the politics of any of the 4 who died. You would think that we would say they were there in our place, and we owe it to them and their memory and their families to find out the answers. I don't know why Washington has to politicize everything. I know this, that grieving parents and spouses and children don't care about politics. They don't care about who's getting promoted and who's getting demoted. They want to know the facts and the truth and justice so they can begin the process of healing. And it's been 12 months, and Mr. Woods and Ms. Smith have just as many questions, if not more, after 12 months than they did the day after their sons were died. I do think it's important. And it happened again this morning, actually, Uma, at the grocery store. People in my district still ask me about Benghazi. And I think the family members of the 4 murdered Americans need to know that in terms of everyday Americans, not politics, everyday Americans, they don't view this as political. They view this as telling us what we are as a country. So for no other reason other than that, we need to find out what happened so we can tell the family members.
Absolutely. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.